Hey up everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about the most underrated and overrated fighters in every single weight division. And just to make things a bit more easier, I'm only going to be doing the top 15 of each division. To start off, we have the flyweight division, and for the most overrated fighter, I've gone with Muhammad Mokaev. Now, some people might pull a face at this. In fact, a lot of people are going to pull a face at all of this list, but I don't really care. But Muhammad Mokaev, in my opinion, is overrated. I've seen people say, oh, he's going to be the next big thing. You know, some people say he's going to be the youngest champion, stuff like that. You know, the future's very bright for him. And that could be the case, but I just don't see it personally. And I'm going off a Tim Elliott performance and the Alex Perez performance. In the Tim Elliott fight, I thought Tim Elliott was winning up until the finish. But fair play to Mokaev for getting the finish. But I did think Tim Elliott was causing a lot of problems for Muhammad Mokaev. And with the Alex Perez fight, I just wasn't really that impressed, especially when it comes to the stand-up side of things. I think he's got a lot to work on that side of things. I don't know, I just don't see him becoming the champion. Maybe he will in the future. You know, he is only like 23 or 24 years old. But for right now, I just don't think it will happen. I've seen a lot of people speak very highly of Mokaev, and I personally don't see it. For the most underrated fighter in that division, I've gone with Brandon Royval. Now, a lot of you might pull the face, what the fuck's he on about? I just think people forget how good Royval actually is, because he's lost to Pantoja twice, he's lost to Moreno. Yes, he's got that win back. I think, did he lose to... No, he beat Kai Kara France, sorry. He beat Tim Elliott. I don't know, though. I just feel like people forget he is very, very well-rounded. And I know he lost to Pantoja twice, and he'll probably lose a third fight to him. But I think he's very dangerous. I think he's one of them who, he might not be able to beat the champion, but he's very capable of beating every single flyweight fighter in that division who isn't the champion, who isn't called Alexander Pantoja. Moving on to the bantamweight division, we have the most overrated fighter being Corey Sandhagen. Now, I think overall as an MMA fighter, Sandhagen is fucking quality. I think he's really, really good. Now, let me tell you why I think he's overrated. Every time this guy gets a big opportunity, he bottles it. He got his fight against Aljamain Sterling to dictate who's going to be the number one contender to take on Peter Yan back in like 2019, I believe, or 2020. I can't remember when. And he got submitted within like, what, a minute or two. You then have the next big fight for him, which was against Peter Yan. He lost. I think it was like, what, 49-46. You know, he got I'm not going to say outclassed, but it was quite a clear victory for Peter Yan. His next big name fight was against TJ Dillashaw. He really, really, really should have won this fight fucking with flying colours, in my opinion. It was like the perfect time to beat TJ Dillashaw. Dillashaw coming off, what, a 2-year layoff. A lot older, having multiple injuries, getting injuries in that fight, and Sandhagen still able to lose that fight. Yes, he probably should have won it on the scorecards, but I don't think on paper it should have been a close fight at all. Again, going into that was probably the best time to beat TJ Dillashaw, and he couldn't. His fight IQ in that fight was very questionable, it was very shit. And that's why I put him as the most overrated fighter, because yes, he's a very, very, very good fighter, but when it comes to those big fights, I just don't think he has it in him. I just feel like he bottles it every time he gets that big opportunity. Now, for the most underrated fighter, I've gone with, my biases included, Peter Yan. People forget about how good Peter Yan is because he went on a bit of a losing streak. You know, he lost to Aljo, what he arguably should have won. He lost to Sean O'Malley, what he arguably should have won. And he lost to Merab Dvalishvili, which he definitely did lose. I won't even lie about that one. However, that's just, I'm not even going to rant about it. But yeah, I think Yan is the most underrated fighter. He just beat Song Yadong whilst being injured. I think he's the most underrated. It was hard with the bantamweight division because I feel like everyone in that division is so talented and rated highly. Like, I'm not going to say Cheeto because I think everyone knows that Cheeto, you know, is kind of ass, you know. But I've gone with Peter Yan. You might go with someone else. I completely understand. I think that's quite a hard division to go for. I think every division's kind of hard to go for. But I've gone with Peter Yan, the most underrated. In the featherweight division, the most overrated, I've gone with Yair Rodriguez. People still rate him a lot. I didn't know who to go with, guys. I won't lie to you. I feel like Ilia Topuria, Max Holloway, and Volkanovski are rated so highly, when everyone just kind of chucked in the same category as like, you're good, but you're not those top 3 good. You know what I mean? So I've gone with Yair Rodriguez. This guy, his best win's Josh Emmett. You know, his best win's Josh Emmett, and he didn't look the best against Volkanovski. And then against Brian Ortega, you got that win against him, but people don't really class it as a win because it was just an injury, what caused the finish. But then in the rematch, Brian Ortega fucked up his ankle. I think you scored a 10-8 round against Brian Ortega, and then you fucked up somehow. I don't understand how you fucked that shit up, but you did. And yeah, so I've gone with Yair Rodriguez, still a very talented fighter. But I think it's more because he fucked up against Ortega. I don't understand how he fucked that one up, but he did. And I don't think he should have lost that fight. And, well, he did. And the most underrated fighter, I've gone with Aljamain Sterling. I was close to going with Movsar because I do think he is very talented and doesn't get the respect he deserves. But Aljo, a former champion in the bantamweight division, absolutely mauled Calvin Kattar. I think he could definitely become champion at featherweight. I might sound stupid for that, but I do genuinely believe that. And I don't think anyone gives him the credit that he deserves for being a former champion and being I'm not going to say very good champion, but you know what I mean? At least he got a few title defenses under his belt. I just don't think he gets the respect he deserves, and I don't think people realise how much of a threat he actually is to that featherweight division. After this, we have the lightweight division. The most overrated fighter, in my opinion, is Benoit Saint Denis. People going into that Dustin Poirier fight really thought that Benoit Saint Denis was going to win. No. I'm pretty sure he was like a favourite as well after beating Matt Frivola, for fuck's sake. And yes, he was winning against Dustin Poirier, but he lost. And then people will say, oh, but the staph infection. That's an excuse. It's an excuse, a valid excuse, but it's still an excuse. If you have a staph infection and you genuinely believe it's going to affect your performance to the point where you come out and say, oh, it was like I was fighting against the clock, I just knew I had to get him out there straight away. Don't take the fight. Pull out. I don't think there's any shame in pulling out of a fight when you have an injury, what can definitely affect your performance. So just pull out. It's as simple as that. I do think he is quite overrated. I don't think he beats a lot of these top-end guys in the lightweight division. A lot of people seem to think so, but I don't seem to think so. And that's why he's the most overrated fighter in that division. I didn't know who else to go with, but I went with BSD. And then most underrated fighter, again, I really struggled on this one. I went with Rafael Fiziev. I don't think he gets credit for how good his grappling actually is. I think his win against Renato Moicano's aged quite well as well. You know, Moicano's been doing quite well recently. And striking-wise, I think he's up there. He lost a close fight to Justin Gaethje, but I did actually think Justin Gaethje won that as well. But I think it was rather close. And I think if he just tweaks a few things, he could definitely be up in that top 5. I think he would have gone on to beat Gamrot as well. Unfortunately, the whole injury happened. But I think Fiziev, we're yet to see the best of him. I'm just hoping that injury doesn't fuck him up for the rest of his career. In the welterweight division, I've gone with the most overrated fighter being Gilbert Burns. This one hurts because I really do actually like Gilbert Burns, but I do just think he's overrated. People make out like he's some fucking monster when that just isn't the case. The guy can't defend a fucking jab. He doesn't know how to parry it. He doesn't know head movement for it. He just can't block a fucking jab. And the way people go on, you'd think he's going to challenge for a title again. Like, I don't know. He's got some decent wins. Again, this is another hard division, man. I was actually tempted to go with Leon for whatever reason, because I do think people do kind of overrate Leon. I won't lie to you. But I went with Gilbert Burns because at least Leon could say he's been champion and he's got 2 wins over Kamaru Usman and Colby. Whereas Burns can't say that. He lost to Usman, got his face jabbed off. Jack Della Maddalena finished him. He lost to Hamzat. I don't know. I've just gone with Gilbert Burns. Another hard one, really. But most underrated, Bilal Muhammad. I really do think that, even to this day, after racking up decent wins over Gilbert Burns, Wonderboy Thompson, and looking impressive in all of those wins. Oh, and beating Vicente Luque before Vicente Luque was washed. I think going into that fight, Luque was on a bit of a winning streak as well. I just think he's very underrated and people don't give him the credit that he deserves. Yes, he's annoying, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't get the respect that he deserves because he has improved a lot. I don't think people see the improvements that he's actually made, especially when it comes up to his stand-up. I think he's improved his stand-up a lot, especially with is it the body kick, I'm pretty certain. He's improved that a lot and it's quite a decent weapon for him. I actually think he could possibly beat Leon, and that hurts me. And I really want Leon to beat him, and I still do think Leon will beat him. But I think Bilal could actually beat him. I think he beats like Colby as well. I think he beats a lot of people in the welterweight division. And I'm interested to see his fight against Leon Edwards, even though it probably will be boring. We move on to the middleweight division, and I've gone for the most overrated, Khamzat Chimaev. This is a hard one. We're all fucking hard ones, I need to stop saying that. But Khamzat Chimaev, for me, it's just... What's his win again in the middleweight division? Usman on a week's notice, and... in my opinion, Usman won that fight, you know. Did great to get a 10-8 round. And then 2 of the other rounds just went to Usman, in my opinion. I don't know. For someone who's always like, smash everybody, kill everybody. He's, I don't know, he's got not much to show for it. At welterweight, yeah, Burns was a good win, but you can't make welterweight anymore. So it's just like, okay. And then you've got a win over Kamaru Usman, and you fight once a year if we're lucky. So I've gone with Khamzat Chimaev. This guy, it's such a shame with this guy. When he debuted and burst onto the scene, everyone's like, oh my god, this guy's going to run the UFC and all this. And now everyone's just like, you know, but you still have people like, oh yeah, he definitely will be champion, but he needs to fight more, man. Fucking hell, like, he needs to fight a lot more. Is it going to be a case of he finally gets a title shot when he's in, like, his pensioner age or something? He just isn't active enough, and it's a shame, but... yeah, overrated, Khamzat Chimaev. That gas tank, it's not going to end up well if someone can survive on the ground for more than a round, really. He'll get exposed, and I feel like a loss from him will come around the corner whenever he next fights, to be honest with you. I really do think he will get exposed badly, and I think he's overrated. But most underrated, I've gone with Dricus du Plessis. Yes, he's the champion, but I still think he's very underrated. People are saying that Adesanya's going to beat him. People think that Sean Strickland beat him. I don't. It was a close fight, but people think Sean Strickland beats him in a rematch. People think Whittaker beats him in a rematch. I don't think that's the case. I think stylistically, he's a nightmare for a lot of fighters. He can mix in his grappling, his striking is very unorthodox. He throws a lot of combination shots. What a very just, you know... they catch off guard. It's hard to defend against something when he mixes things up so well and then throws these combinations, like not like a 2 or 3 shots, like 4 or 5 shots, ends on like an inside leg kick, stuff like that. Very sloppy, but it's very effective for him. He can fight like a dog. He's not scared of pushing the pace and being there in the fire with fighters. So I've gone with most underrated, Dricus du Plessis. For the light heavyweight division, you guys aren't going to like this, but just hear me out, I beg. Just listen to my justification for this one. Most overrated fighter, Alex Pereira. Now, I love Alex Pereira. I rate him, but just hear me out. I feel like because he's beat Yan, he's beat Yuri twice, and he's beat Jamal Hill, there's no one else in that division anyone really fucking rates. Like, even Ankalaev, everyone's like, oh yeah, he has a path to victory against Pereira, but we still think he's horseshit with, like, the leg kicks, his fight IQ, like, you know what I mean? Like, no one else is really rated in that division besides the people he's already beat, and he's already beat them, so I just didn't know what to say, like, and with Pereira, he's got a clear weakness, and no one's really gone to expose it so far. Jan Blachowicz a bit, but I don't know. I just don't think anyone's tried to expose it properly, and that's why he looks so much better. He's looked so good, you know what I mean? Like, he already is amazing. It's a hard one to try and justify, but hopefully someone understands what I'm trying to say with this one. I don't think Pereira is shit. I genuinely don't think he's super overrated as well. He kind of is, because fighters are being so stupid and just drop the fucking ego and grapple with the guy. You know what I mean? Just stop trying to fucking strike this guy. Go with your bread and butter and grapple him. It's the clear path to victory. No one seems to be clocking on for some reason. And I think, that does make him look better, that he's able to just beat all these guys and just no one's being clever enough to just take him fucking down. Anyways, the most underrated, I've gone with Jan Blachowicz. Like, everyone kind of forgets how good he is. He's really good at mixing it all in. He's got good power, good grappling. His IQ can be a bit stinky at times. But I've gone with Jan Blachowicz. I think he's kind of a hard one. Can I say that Magomed Ankalaev is underrated? I don't know, because it's like a 50-50 with him. People rate him and people don't, so I went with Jan Blachowicz. And then finally, we have the heavyweight division, most overrated. I've gone with Pavlovich. I've always thought he's somewhat overrated, if I'm being completely honest to you. I feel like Blades was, again, like Pereira, but, there's a clear path to victory against Pavlovich. Overeem exposed it years ago, and no one seems to try and grapple with this guy. Aspinall didn't need to be fair. Volkov didn't have the skill set to do so, really, but he relied on his excellent striking to dismantle Pavlovich. And I feel like that kind of exposed Pavlovich as well, because he's very limited, If you let him bully you, then that's what he'll do. He will bulldoze right through you. But other than that, if that isn't the case, this guy will struggle. It's just the heavyweight division's quite stinky in terms of skill. Aspinall and Volkov are able to get it done because they're both skilled. The rest of the division, not entirely. So I've gone with Pavlovich. And the most underrated, I've actually gone with Jailton Almeida. Yes, he's left a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths with the Derek Lewis fight, but before that, he was submitting a load of people. Yes, he lost to Curtis Blades, but in that fight, he was dominating the first round. And I'm not going to say it was a fluke, and it definitely was. I don't like the term when people say, oh yeah, something was a fluke victory, when it just wasn't the case, when someone was intending to damage you. But I still think if him and Curtis Blades met each other 10 times, it would be like 5 out of 5 for both of them. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's I'd like to see that fight again, actually. And I think Jailton Almeida can beat Curtis Blades, and I think he can get into the top of that division and actually become champion. I just think he needs to work on a few things, mainly striking-wise. Maybe a bit of, like, if he brushes up on his fucking IQ, don't act so dumb. But that's kind of a lot to ask for a heavyweight fighter. Then I think he can become champion, if I'm being completely honest. And those are the fighters I believe are the most underrated and overrated in every single weight division in the UFC. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Thank you guys for watching. Now fuck off.